Synapse in the city where the neon's burning hot and nice. From Power BI to Synapse, it's a jackpot ride. Fabric in my corner, got the whole cloud tied. Viva Fabric, Viva Cloud, bringing all my data, making me so proud. From the script to the server, it's a golden key. One lake, one dream, it's all for me.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to today's preview session. We're joined today by Manuel Quintana, and we're going to be talking a little bit about our upcoming Learn with the Nerd session that's going to be next week. Manuel and Mitchell are going to be leading that with a little cameo from Zane as well. You can see the registration for that on our screen right now below my face, below my beautiful face. So feel free to scan that if you want to be able to get registered for our upcoming event. And so we've got one of the presenters of that event, Manuel, here today to talk a little bit about what to expect in that upcoming event. So, Manuel, let's first of all, for those of you, I think many of you already know Manuel, but for those that don't, maybe a brief introduction of Manuel, and then tell us what we're going to be covering in that session.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Evan. As mentioned, Manuel Quintana, that's the name. Don't wear it out. I think that's a phrase. I've been a trainer here with Pragmatic Works for over a decade. Loved every moment of it. And obviously with the popularity of Fabric, right, we've thrown ourselves all the way into the deep end. And we've just really gotten involved with every aspect of it. And with the recent popularity of the FabCon event, right, that's thrown a lot of stuff towards that Fabric even more. We decided it would be a perfect time to have a session to really kind of talk about some of the things that you as a Power BI developer should want. So I've been lucky enough to be able to kind of dive into this stuff, really embrace it, and the product has really evolved so much in a year and a half. So it's really exciting to see where it's at and also where it's going to go.
Right. So you talked about FabCon. That's for those that don't know, that's the Fabric conference. Was in Vegas last week, community conference. That there was lots of Microsoft speakers at several announcements there. And I think one of the things that we continue to see is a little bit of a struggle or a learning curve for some is those that come from that Power BI background, then picking up some of the nomenclature, picking up some of the new things that they're going to be doing in Fabric. But there's also some things that are really similar, right? And I think those are some of the things that you're going to be talking about as well. Things like Data Flows Gen 2. There's some stuff in there that's going to be very familiar, and they're going to feel at home in some of those places, while there's going to be some pretty big things to pick up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Terminology, right? The one thing is, if you guys have just done a little research, looked at what is Fabric, right? That's a big question. If you don't know, the question what is Fabric is big, but it shouldn't be overwhelming or intimidating. Yes, there's quite a bit of terminology, and that is one of the goals in the session, is to demystify some of this terminology and really draw those bridges, draw those parallels to the world that you already know as a Power BI developer, and say, hey, and I know it doesn't sound too exciting, but we're actually going to start with just a Power BI semantic model, the stuff that each and every one of you has and already have been using for a long time, right? Power BI has been around for a bit. Maybe you're still getting used to calling them semantic models, but still, you've been using them for ages now. What do we know from here? What is that process? How is that changing when my organization decides to use Fabric, right? What are things like a lakehouse mean to me? Is there something different? Now are there new semantic models? We get into that information to really kind of close the gap in understanding for the traditional Power BI analyst. What does this movement to Fabric mean for you? Now, and like I said, most of it is going to be bringing you into familiar territory. Power Query, everybody knows that. We're going to showcase that and how it's leveraged in Fabric. But then we're also going to talk about some things that are going to be new, but they should not be scary, as they're just more tools that you now have available to really just extend the capability of what Power BI already offers us. So we're going to try to really help bridge the gap there for that audience. That's really the focus point, because that's a big thing we get into, right, Devin? When we talk about Fabric, is this conversation of personas or roles. Right. And so this session is more driven towards that Power BI analyst or Power BI developer role, as there's database engineers, scientists, all these other things. Just know that is that focus, but it's good for any role to really kind of have this, because this will help you have better conversations in your organization as you look to adopt Fabric organization-wide.
That's great. I think you kind of answered this question, but maybe there's a different take you have on it. So let's say someone that's watching this right now decides they're going to attend. What are they going to leave with? What knowledge? What kind of capabilities will they hopefully have when they leave the session from when they started?
Certainly. You should definitely feel far more comfortable with Fabric as a whole, as far as things such as data flows Gen 2, as was mentioned, Lakehouse experience, as we mentioned, and really a little bit better of an understanding around semantic models, which, once again, you guys like, well, that's been around forever, but there's some nuances. And that's kind of the big reason. Why do I want to leave the semantic models that I know and love that I created with my Power BI desktop to just use a semantic model that's coming from a Lakehouse? What's the benefit there? And that's one of the biggest things we're going to explore. So although at the end of the day, you're still hitting get data, Power BI semantic model, and that's how you're going to develop your reports, what's happening in the back end? Why do we want to take the time to develop these solutions in Fabric? Magic answer, I'll give it away now, but come back for the session, obviously next week to learn more. That's going to be all around Direct Lake, right? So we're going to cover these elements and you're going to walk away. I think having that better sensation of, okay, I understand why this is here. It's been around for a year and a half now, the product, and it's really matured. But sometimes that question is still left there, right? What are the, just straight up, what's that benefit? Why? What's better with this route? And that's what we really want to have you take away.
That's great. I love it. That's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone is going to decide to attend, is there any kind of prerequisite knowledge they should have ahead of time? Anything that they should be aware of, or is there any assumptions that you're making as you jump into this? It sounds like they should have some Power BI experience, right?
I would say that would be the only kind of area potentially for prerequisites. I wouldn't say it's a mandatory element, but we are going to be in the Power BI service, right? We're going to be out there. We're going to start with a Power BI report. So if you've never opened up Power BI desktop, you have no idea what a Power BI report looks like, that could be a little bit of a hindrance. So let's say that. Let's just say some minimal Power BI exposure would be really the only prerequisite. Like I said, our goal is to really tackle these potentially advanced topics in a very simplified way so that everybody can walk away hopefully feeling very satisfied and being able to have those conversations like we were mentioning. So it should be pretty good. I think almost everyone here should be good. If you just know Excel, still this could work for you.
Very cool. Looks like your camera's going into the matrix here a little bit, but your audio's coming through fine. So, is there anything that people need to have to participate? There's licensing, obviously, with Fabric. What do they need to have set up before following along?
Yeah, absolutely. So for this demonstration, for the session itself, it is going to be a bit more instructor-led. I think that's going to be a great opportunity because it allows you to be hands off the keyboard, really focusing in the conversation, and most importantly, being involved with the dialogue, right? Asking questions. Don't forget, after the session, we have a live Q&A. So it is done in a manner so that you can follow along. Granted, we are going to give you access. There will be a download available for you so you can get, which will include some public resources, which we leverage. Azure SQL DB, Azure Data Lake. So you will get access to those items. So you could basically tap into the resources we're doing and mimic what we're going through. But it's really kind of presented in such a way that you're just meant to observe and watch. But it's going to be available on demand. So watch it first, take advantage of the fact that we're going to be live with you to answer questions, and then rewatch it and then follow along in the steps if you so choose using those sample items. So really just that simple small download, like I said, which we'll provide in the description, you can get, and also the day of the event will make that download available. But everything's in the cloud, as they say, right? We're all about the cloud, and everything in Fabric is done there as well.
Yeah, I'll share too. For folks that are subscribers to our on-demand learning platform, you'll have early access to the session as well. In fact, it should be posted as early as later this afternoon. I think it's going up right now. So if you're a paid subscriber, you'll have early access to it. So just a heads up on that. It's on its way. So probably the most obvious question is if someone's just stumbling across this and is curious on how they can join, how do you register for the event? I'll take that, but maybe also Marshall will probably pop something up on the screen for us here. The event, again, is coming up next week, April 24th from 11 to 12:30 Eastern Time. It'll be followed with a question and answer as well. So hang around with us for a little bit after as well as we kind of take some of the questions that have come up during the session. But you can scan the There we go. The QR code right below my face. I'll share my screen as well briefly. If you just go to our website, you can also go to pragmaticworks.com and you can click Save My Seat, and that'll get you in as well. And you can see I got meetings popping up there. But you can register directly from our website or scan the code that's on the screen. Either way, whichever you prefer, get you in, and you'll have access to the things that Manuel mentioned as far as the files that are going to be coming your way, as well as the event itself, reminders for it, and where we'll be when it's occurring. So, Manuel, I think that's it for today. Let me hand it back to you to kind of close out, and anything else you want to say to folks before the event next week?
No, we're very excited. Like I said, this is coming off of a long time and a long conversation between Mitchell, myself, and the rest of the team members who've been working with Fabric, and really knowing that this audience, the Power BI developer, needs a little more attention, right? So that's really what's been driving this. And after attending that fabulous event out in Las Vegas, the FabCon event, which I know we talked to many people. So if you are at the event next week, make sure to say hello in the chat. We'll get back to you. There's a lot out there. Like I said, with the scope and size of what Fabric is, we wanted to create and tailor something down to that audience. So that's you. If you're the Power BI developer now and you've been hearing these whisperings and you're wondering, hey, I think my organization is going to start adopting this. What does this mean for me? This is what this session is meant to be. And we only have so much time that we can have the event for. That's why we have the Q&A. So make sure you stay throughout, because if you got questions, it's the time. It's the chance and opportunity to ask those. So with that being said, Devin, I think we're ready to set sail. Anything else we can add into the mix?
No, I think that's it. Marcia, you want to close us?
Stacking up my data like I'm rolling the dice in the city where the neon's burning hot and nice. From Power BI to Synapse, it's a jackpot ride. Fabric in my core, I got